Imagine this, the Queen of Christmas, Mariah Carey, and the West Coast legend himself, Tupac Shakur. Two icons from completely different worlds, yet both unstoppable forces in the 90s. Now picture the headlines, Mariah and Pac spotted together in late-night studios, exchanging fiery glances, sparking whispers that would shake the entire music industry to its core. Fans were left stunned, wondering if this was just a rumor, a fleeting moment of chemistry, or the beginning of a love story that could have rewritten music history forever. But here's where it gets wild behind the glamour and the flashing cameras. Tensions were brewing. Insiders claimed Mariah's management was furious, warning her that being linked with Tupac could destroy her carefully built image. Meanwhile, Pac's crew saw Mariah as a distraction from the battles he was already fighting in hip-hop. Yet, the two couldn't resist each other's energy, Mariah's angelic voice clashing with Tupac's raw fire, creating sparks that no one could ignore. And just when the rumors seemed to fade, new whispers surfaced: secret phone calls, heated arguments caught on tape, and even a hidden track that some say was buried because it revealed too much. Could this what if romance have changed the face of music forever? Stick around, because what you're about to hear will leave you questioning everything you thought you knew. Under the neon glow of the early 90s music scene, two names were dominating the airwaves: Mariah Carey and Tupac Shakur. Mariah had become the golden voice of pop and R&B, adored for her soaring notes and fairy tale image. Tupac, on the other hand, was the poetic warrior of hip-hop, his verses raw, filled with pain, rebellion, and fire. They were from opposite worlds, yet insiders whispered that destiny had set them on a collision course. It all began with a single encounter, something so unexpected that those present would later call it the spark that never should have been lit. A record label event in Los Angeles was buzzing with energy. Mariah, dressed in shimmering silver, floated through the room, all elegance and poise. Tupac, surrounded by his entourage, exuded a magnetic energy that instantly pulled attention. When their eyes met across the room, the chatter in the air seemed to hush. One insider later described it as electric, saying it was as if two storms recognized each other. Mariah, known for her reserved nature at such events, surprised everyone when she walked over to Tupac and said softly, "I've always admired your honesty in your music." Tupac, never one to shy away from confidence, smirked and replied, "And I've always wondered what it'd be like to sing with a voice that could heal pain." That exchange, simple yet loaded, was the beginning of a bond that would blur the lines between two musical universes. But almost immediately, people close to both stars grew uneasy. Mariah's team, especially her label executives, were horrified at the idea. Her image was carefully curated, polished for mainstream America. Being linked to someone like Tupac, who was often portrayed as dangerous by the media, could unravel years of work. Mariah's manager at the time supposedly pulled her aside that very night and whispered, "Don't get too close. It's career suicide." But Mariah, with a gleam of rebellion in her eyes, simply responded, "Maybe it's time I live for myself." On Tupac's side, his crew wasn't thrilled either. They worried that Mariah represented a distraction from his mission. He was already knee-deep in battles within the hip-hop community, feuds that were turning violent. Being romantically linked with someone from the pop world, especially someone as sheltered as Mariah, seemed like it would only bring trouble. One of his closest friends reportedly told him, "She ain't built for this life, Pac. You're gonna hurt her, or worse, she's gonna hold you back." Tupac brushed off the warning, saying, "You don't get it. She's really than half the people around me." As weeks passed, rumors began to spread. Paparazzi snapped blurry photos of the two leaving his studio late at night. Fans speculated wildly about what they were working on. Was it a duet, a secret collaboration, or something more? Tabloids splashed headlines claiming Mariah had fallen for hip-hop's most controversial figure. And though neither confirmed nor denied, their silence only fueled the fire. Behind closed doors, the relationship deepened. Mariah, who often felt suffocated by the control of her label and personal life, found in Tupac a kind of freedom she'd never experienced. He encouraged her to speak her truth, to break away from the shackles of her carefully guarded image. She, in turn, gave him the softness he rarely allowed himself to feel. In quiet moments, Tupac would recite unfinished verses to her, while Mariah would sing melodies that wrapped around his words like a balm. One night, as they sat in a dimly lit studio, Tupac leaned over and whispered, "If the world knew this, they wouldn't understand." Mariah replied, They don't need to understand as long as we do. But it wasn't all harmony. The pressures from the outside world seeped in quickly. Mariah's inner circle grew increasingly hostile. Friends questioned her judgment, some accusing her of throwing away her career for a dangerous fantasy. One argument turned so heated that Mariah's best friend at the time reportedly shouted, "Do you realize what you're doing? You're risking everything for a man who might not even be here tomorrow." Mariah, hurt but defiant, responded with trembling words, "Maybe that's why it matters so much now. Because tomorrow isn't promised." The conflicts mirrored in Tupac's camp as well. His associates began to whisper that Mariah was changing him, making him soft, less focused on the battles at hand. One night, a confrontation erupted after a studio session. A member of Tupac's crew bluntly told him, "You're losing your edge. All this love stuff, it ain't you." Tupac, furious, slammed his notebook shut and shouted, "Love don't make me weak. It makes me fight harder. You think I'm scared of losing my edge? Nah, I'm scared of losing something real for once." As emotions ran high, fans on the outside began to notice the subtle changes too. Mariah's songs took on a new depth, her performances more raw, almost as if she was carrying a secret weight. Tupac's lyrics, though still fiery, began to weave in unexpected notes of vulnerability. Critics pointed it out but couldn't quite put their finger on what was fueling the shift. Little did they know, the answer lay in the stolen glances and whispered promises between two icons. Caught in an impossible situation, then came the twist that nearly exposed everything. A cassette tape rumored to contain an unreleased collaboration between the two mysteriously leaked to a small circle in the industry. The song, according to those who heard it, was hauntingly beautiful, a blend of Mariah's angelic vocals and Tupac's raw poetry, telling the story of forbidden love. Though it was never released publicly, whispers of its existence spread like wildfire. Some insiders claimed the song was deliberately buried by Mariah's label, terrified that it would confirm the rumors and ignite a scandal they couldn't control. The existence of that track created more drama than anyone expected. Mariah's label allegedly confronted her, demanding answers. "Tell us this isn't true. Tell us you're not throwing everything away," they pressed. Mariah, torn between her career and her heart, reportedly broke down in tears, saying, "You don't understand. For once, I feel alive." Meanwhile, Tupac faced his own storm. His enemies in the hip-hop world caught wind of the connection and mocked him for being distracted by a pop princess. One rival artist even taunted him in a verse, suggesting he had gone soft. Tupac's pride burned, but behind closed doors, he confided to Mariah, "They can say what they want. I don't care. But you gotta be ready, because if this gets out, they'll come for both of us." Mariah, her voice steady, replied, "Let them come. I've been fighting battles my whole life, just different ones." As 1995 rolled on, the tension between passion and pressure grew unbearable. The world didn't know it, but behind the glamorous smiles and hit songs, Mariah and Tupac were living a secret drama that teetered between love and disaster. Whispers of late-night arguments, of Mariah disappearing from industry events to meet Tupac, of Tupac writing verses that insiders swore were about her, all painted a picture of a relationship on the edge of exposure. And then, just when it seemed they might risk it all, a new problem emerged: family. Mariah's family, already skeptical of her choices, reportedly clashed with her over Tupac. Heated dinners ended with slammed doors and tearful nights. One relative supposedly confronted her directly, saying, "You're embarrassing us. How can you be with someone like him?" Mariah, her voice trembling but firm, answered, "Because he sees me for me, not for what I can do for him." The love story that could have been was already threatening to explode, and neither Mariah nor Tupac realized that the storm around them was only beginning to rise. The family drama surrounding Mariah and Tupac's connection was only the beginning. As the tension grew, it wasn't just about personal feelings anymore. The media was circling like vultures, sniffing out even the smallest hints of scandal. One late night, Mariah was photographed leaving a hotel where Tupac had been staying. The photo, though grainy and unclear, was enough for tabloids to ignite the flames. Headlines screamed that Mariah had gone rogue and was spiraling out of control, while others claimed Tupac was using her to clean up his image. Fans were left divided. Some were fascinated, whispering that this was the most exciting crossover in music history, while others were shocked, warning that Mariah was risking everything. Shush. He had worked for Dot inside her camp. The pressure was suffocating. Mariah's management began threatening to pull support for her upcoming album unless she distanced herself from Tupac. One executive reportedly shouted at her during a meeting, "You are the voice of pop music, the safe one, the fantasy. If you get tied up with him, it's over. Do you understand? Over." Mariah, exhausted but unwilling to back down, whispered, "Maybe I don't want to be the fantasy anymore." Tupac, meanwhile, faced his own storm. Word of his secret involvement with Mariah began spreading through the hip-hop community, and the response was far from supportive. Some rivals mocked him openly, accusing him of selling out. Others warned him that associating with Mariah could make him a target not just for critics but for those who already saw him as a threat. One night in the studio, as tensions boiled, a member of his circle confronted him directly. "You're playing with fire, Pac. This isn't just about you anymore. If they think she's your weakness, they'll use her against you." Tupac, pacing the room, slammed his fist against the mixing board and growled, "She's not my weakness, she's my strength. And if they touch her, that's when they'll really see who I am." But strength wasn't enough to keep the walls from closing in. As the weeks turned into months, the couple found themselves increasingly isolated. Secret meetings became harder to arrange, and both were growing tired of living in the shadows. Mariah, yearning for freedom, begged Tupac one night, "Why can't we just be open about this? Why do we have to hide?" Tupac, his eyes heavy, with the weight of everything on his shoulders, responded, "Because the world ain't ready for us. They'll tear us apart before we even get a chance." Their love story, as intoxicating as it was, began to turn into a battlefield. Arguments erupted, fueled by the strain of secrecy. Mariah accused Tupac of pulling away, of letting the outside noise come between them. "You promised me this was real," she cried during one late-night confrontation. Tupac, his voice breaking, despite his usual toughness, replied, "It is real. It's the realest thing I've ever had. But I'm fighting wars on every side, Mariah. I can't lose focus." The emotional cracks showed up in their work too. Mariah's new music sessions were tense, her voice carrying an edge of pain that hadn't been there before. Her producers whispered behind her back, saying they'd never seen her so distracted. Tupac, too, was pouring his frustration into his lyrics, spitting verses filled with anger at a world that wouldn't let him simply love in peace. His closest friends knew his mood had shifted, but the fire in his eyes was now mixed with the sadness he tried to mask. Things came to a boiling point when Mariah's family intervened again, this time more aggressively. Her mother, who had always been protective, sat her down and gave her an ultimatum. "You can choose your career or you can choose him, but you cannot have both. If you keep going down this path, you'll lose everything." Mariah, torn and trembling, whispered back, "What's the point of everything if I can't be with someone who makes me feel alive?" The conversation ended with silence, but the rift between Mariah and her family grew deeper. The world outside was catching on. Rumors swirled of a secret love song recorded by the pair, and though the track remained hidden, those whispers only fueled the frenzy. Fans demanded answers. Radio hosts joked about the unlikely couple, while late-night TV shows turned their rumored romance into punchlines. Mariah's carefully protected image was crumbling, and Tupac's reputation as a dangerous figure only made the gossip more irresistible. And then came the moment that nearly blew everything wide open. During an awards show, Mariah took the stage to perform a ballad. Halfway through the song, as the crowd swayed, she added an unexpected freestyle verse, one that eerily mirrored Tupac's own lyrics from a track that hadn't even been released. Yet, fans who caught the reference exploded on forums and in fan clubs. Was she singing about Tupac? One headline screamed the next morning. Insiders whispered that Tupac had been sitting in the audience that night, hidden in the shadows, watching her pour her heart out in front of millions. After the performance, Mariah reportedly rushed backstage where Tupac was waiting. According to someone who claimed to have overheard, their reunion was anything but calm. Mariah clutched his hand and whispered, "They know, Pac. They're starting to piece it together." Tupac, jaw clenched, answered, "Let them. Maybe it's time." They do, but before they could act on it, Mariah's team stormed in, furious and demanding she return to her dressing room. The confrontation ended with raised voices and slamming doors. But one thing was clear: their secret was becoming impossible to contain as the tension escalated. Their relationship turned into a tug-of-war between passion and survival. Mariah wanted to hold on tighter, to declare their love no matter the cost. Tupac, though equally devoted, feared what the exposure would bring. One night, he confessed to her, "If they come after me, I can handle it. I've been handling it all my life. But if they come after you, I couldn't live with that." Mariah, tears streaming down her face, whispered back, "Then let them come after both of us. I'd rather fall with you than live without you." By now, the whispers had reached deafening levels. Industry insiders were talking, fans were speculating, and the media was circling. Their love story, still unconfirmed, was shaping up to be one of the most explosive revelations in music history. Both Mariah and Tupac stood at the edge of a cliff, knowing that the next step forward could mean either the beginning of a new era or the end of everything they had built. The storm was here, and they were right in the eye of it. The storm around. Mariah and Tupac's secret was no longer just whispering in the corners of the industry, it was roaring in headlines, fueling late-night conversations and sending fans into a frenzy of speculation. The tension was unbearable, and neither of them could move without the world trying to connect dots. Mariah's every appearance was dissected, her wardrobe choices overanalyzed, her lyrics combed for hidden meanings. Tupac's verses were scrutinized, with critics swearing they could hear references to a songbird or a butterfly, terms fans linked directly to Mariah. The rumor mill had gone into overdrive, and there was no turning back. One evening, Mariah and Tupac were spotted leaving a restaurant in New York. Though they tried to be discreet, paparazzi swarmed them. Flashbulbs exploded, catching Tupac shielding Mariah with his arm as they hurried into a waiting car. By morning, the photos were everywhere. Tabloids ran with the story, splashing headlines like "Mariah's Dangerous Love" and "Pop Princess and Rap Outlaw, an Unlikely Affair." The internet, still in its early days, buzzed with speculation, and fan forums nearly collapsed under the weight of the gossip. From Mariah's team, it was chaos. Meetings turned into shouting matches as executives demanded she deny everything. "You have to say it's not true," her publicist insisted. "Say it's friendship, say it's a project, say anything but this." Mariah, exhausted from the lies, simply shook her head and whispered, "What if I don't want to deny it anymore?" The room fell into stunned silence, but one executive finally snapped. "Then you'll be finished." Tupac wasn't spared either. In the hip-hop community, the relationship was becoming ammunition for his rivals. One West Coast rapper mocked him on stage, calling him soft and claiming he traded street credibility for a pop fantasy. Tupac, never one to let an insult slide, responded with a fiery freestyle that night, spitting verses about loving without fear and a queen who sings through the pain. His fans erupted in cheers, but critics sneered, saying he was distracted, letting love get in the way of his fight. The emotional toll on the couple was immense. Mariah felt the walls closing in from every side: her family, her team, the media, all demanding she walk away. Tupac, burdened with the constant pressure of his feuds and the danger surrounding him, feared that every step he took with Mariah put her more at risk. During one late-night phone call, Mariah broke down, sobbing, "I don't know how much longer I can do this, Pac. I can't breathe. I feel like I'm living a lie." Tupac's voice, heavy with sadness, answered, "I know, baby. I feel it too, but walking away from you, that would kill me." And yet, they clung to each other. In the midst of the chaos, they found stolen moments of peace-long drives with no destination, late-night sessions in empty studios, whispered promises under the cover of darkness. Mariah once wrote in her journal, later leaked by an insider, "With him, I feel free. With him, I'm not Mariah the brand, I'm just Mariah the woman. I never knew I could be seen like this." But their fragile peace shattered one night when a secret phone call was leaked to the press. The audio, grainy but unmistakable, captured Mariah and Tupac arguing. Mariah's voice, filled with desperation, cried, "Why do you keep pulling away from me when I need you the most?" Tupac, clearly frustrated, replied, "Because I'm trying to protect you. You don't know what kind of danger this is." The tape ended with silence, leaving the world to imagine the rest. When the audio surfaced, it was like throwing gasoline on a fire. Fans were shocked, the industry was scandalized, and the media declared it the love story tearing two worlds apart. Mariah's family seized the opportunity to intervene again. Her brother reportedly confronted her, slamming his hand on the table and shouting, "He's going to ruin you. He's toxic and you know it." Mariah, tears welling in her eyes, whispered back, "He's the only one who's ever made me feel like I'm more than a product." The argument left that family fractured, with Mariah more isolated than ever. Tupac's side wasn't much better. His crew, already resentful of Mariah's influence, accused him of being distracted and reckless. During one heated exchange, a close friend told him, "You're not thinking straight, Pac. You're putting her before the game, before the mission." Tupac, his voice shaking with fury, fired back, "Maybe love is the real mission. Maybe that's what we're all fighting for and none of you see it." The backlash only intensified when whispers emerged of a secret song the two had recorded together, a track so powerful it could expose their truth to the world. Though the song never officially surfaced, insiders claimed it was titled "Forever Mine," a haunting ballad where Mariah's angelic voice intertwined with Tupac's raw verses. One producer who allegedly heard the track called it a confession set to music. Fans caught wind of the rumor and demanded its release, with petitions and calls flooding record labels. The label, terrified, locked down every trace of the recording. But that only made the speculation worse. Was there a hidden track? Had Mariah and Tupac poured their love story into a song too dangerous for the world to hear? The mystery added another layer to their already combustible situation, and fans became obsessed with uncovering the truth. Then came the breaking point. At a private industry party in Los Angeles, Mariah and Tupac arrived separately but were spotted together in a secluded corner. Witnesses claimed they were holding hands, speaking in hushed but emotional tones. One insider later revealed you could see the pain in their eyes, like two people who knew the world was against them but couldn't let go. Before the night was over, however, the couple was reportedly approached by Mariah's manager, who publicly berated her in front of industry elites. Tupac, furious, allegedly stepped in, telling the manager, "She's not your puppet, she's her own woman." The confrontation nearly turned physical, with security rushing in to break it up. The story leaked within hours, sparking another media firestorm. After that night, Mariah and Tupac faced the harsh reality that their secret could no longer be contained. Mariah's career was at stake, Tupac's reputation was under fire, and both of them were exhausted from the relentless pressure. One quiet evening, as they sat together in a hotel room, Mariah whispered, "What if this is too big for us? What if love isn't enough?" Tupac, staring out the window at the city lights, replied, "Love is always enough. But maybe the world ain't ready for ours." With those words, the weight of their situation became undeniable. They were caught in a love that was beautiful yet dangerous, powerful yet fragile. And as the media tightened its grip, fans and insiders alike wondered, would they fight for each other until the end? Or would the world finally succeed in tearing them apart? The answer was coming, and it would shake both of their worlds to the core. The breaking point had finally arrived. The world now buzzed with the scandal of Mariah Carey and Tupac Shakur, their names entwined in every headline, their faces splashed across tabloids side by side. There was no more denying, no more hiding. What began as a whisper had turned into a roar, and both stars knew their choices would determine not just the course of their love, but the very shape of their legacies. For Mariah, the pressure from her team reached its absolute peak. In one final intervention, her manager, surrounded by executives, cornered her in a boardroom and laid it all out. "You either end this now or we walk away. No more protection, no more resources. Your career will be destroyed if you keep seeing him." Mariah, exhausted from years of being controlled, finally snapped. She slammed her hand on the table and shouted, "I'm not your doll, I'm not your fantasy. I'm a woman and I decide who I love." The room fell into stunned silence. One executive reportedly muttered, "Then God help you, because no one else will." Tupac was facing his own hell. His rivals saw the scandal as blood in the water, ammunition to attack him in diss tracks and interviews. Some mocked him for being soft, while others accused him of using Mariah for clout. But the most painful blow came from within his own circle. A close friend confronted him in private, saying, "You've changed, Pac. You don't see it, but you've let this consume you. It's gonna destroy you." Tupac, his voice heavy with both anger and pain, responded, "Maybe it destroys me, maybe destroys both of us. But at least it's real. That's more than I can say about anything else in this business." The couple, caught in a whirlwind, clung to each other harder than ever before. In one emotional night together, Mariah broke down in Tupac's arms, sobbing, "I can't take it anymore. They're tearing me apart, Pac. They're trying to make me choose between my career and you." Tupac held her close, whispering, "Then choose us. Choose love. The music will always be there. The fame will always come and go. But what we have, that's once in a lifetime." Mariah looked up at him through her tears and whispered back, "Then let's stop hiding." Rumors exploded when, at a charity event, Mariah and Tupac arrived together, hand in hand. The crowd gasped, cameras flashed, and the industry nearly collapsed under the weight of the moment. Some fans cheered, others condemned, but everyone was talking. It was official the secret love story was now public, and nothing could put it back in the shadows. The fallout was immediate. Mariah's label panicked, scrambling to spin the story, while Tupac's rivals doubled their attacks. One talk show host sneered, "America's sweetheart and hip-hop's bad boy, what's next? A joint Christmas album." But despite the ridicule, there were others who saw it differently. Young fans began to rally around the couple, calling them a symbol of breaking barriers, of love defying expectations. The fanbase was split, but passionate on both sides. Yet behind the bold public display, the reality was much darker. Mariah's family turned their backs on her, furious that she had chosen Tupac over their warnings. Heated arguments at family gatherings left her in tears, feeling abandoned by the people she once leaned on. Tupac, too, found himself increasingly isolated. His friends worried about the threats circling him, whispering that Mariah was in danger just by being near him. "They'll use her to get to you," one warned. Tupac clenched his fists and growled, "Let them try. I'll protect her with my life." As if the emotional turmoil weren't enough, rumors of the secret collaboration track, "Forever Mine," resurfaced. A leaked snippet allegedly made its way to underground circles, a haunting blend of Mariah's soaring vocals and Tupac's raw verses. The lyrics were unmistakably about their love, their fight against the world, their refusal to let go. Fans who heard the clip were stunned, calling it one of the most powerful songs either artist had ever recorded. The labels panicked, rushing to bury the track, but the damage was done. The love story was no longer just gossip, it was immortality. Zedin Music. The pressure became unbearable. Mariah's mental health reportedly began to spiral. Those close to her claimed she spent nights pacing, crying, unable to sleep. Tupac, though strong on the outside, confided to her during one tearful night, "I feel like we're standing in the middle of a battlefield with no way out." Mariah, clutching his hand, whispered, "Then we stand together until the end." But fate had other plans. As 1996 approached, Tupac's world grew darker. His feuds intensified, the violence surrounding him escalated, and Mariah's team became more ruthless in their attempts to pull her away. One evening, after yet another fight with her management, Mariah screamed in frustration, "They want me to betray you, to walk away like none of this ever mattered." Tupac looked at her with a mixture of love and sorrow and said quietly, "If walking away keeps you safe, maybe you should." Mariah shook her head, tears falling. "Don't you dare ask me to do that. You're the only real thing I've ever had." Their final days together were a blur of passion and pain, laughter and tears. They dreamed of running away, of leaving it all behind, of starting over somewhere the world couldn't find them. But reality kept pulling them back, reminding them that they were icons. Chained to their fame, unable to disappear. And then came the devastating twist that would forever turn their love story into legend. Tupac's tragic death in September 1996 sent shockwaves around the world. Fans mourned, the hip-hop community grieved, and Mariah was shattered. Though she never spoke openly about the extent of their relationship, insiders claimed she locked herself away, unable to eat, unable to sleep, playing the unreleased track on repeat until her tears ran dry. One friend later revealed, she kept saying, "He was my what if. He was my forever that never got to be." In the months that followed, Mariah poured her heartbreak into her music. Fans noticed a rawness in her performances, a vulnerability that hadn't been there before. Though she never confirmed the details, whispers of her secret romance with Tupac lived on, passed down like legend, immortalized in rumor, in leaked verses. In the haunting memory of what could have been, their love story, real or imagined, became one of the greatest what-ifs in music history. What if they had been free to love without fear? What if they had released their song to the world? What if Tupac had lived and their forbidden romance had blossomed into something unstoppable? These questions haunted fans, leaving them both heartbroken and fascinated. A love story that ended too soon but lived on forever in the echoes of their music. In the end, Mariah and Tupac's connection, whether whispered in studios, hidden in hotel rooms, or immortalized in a secret track, was proof that even in the harshest spotlight, love could burn bright enough to shake the world. And though tragedy tore them apart, their story lived on, etched in the memories of fans, a timeless reminder of passion, rebellion, and the dangerous beauty of loving against all odds. And so, we're left with one of the most haunting what-ifs in music history. Mariah Carey, the voice of a generation, and Tupac Shakur, the poet of the streets, caught in a love story that was as breathtaking as it was doomed. It had everything: passion, secrecy, betrayal, family torn apart, industry manipulation, and ultimately, tragedy. Some say it was nothing more than a rumor blown out of proportion. Others swear there were songs, phone calls, and even hidden confessions that proved their bond was real. The truth may never be fully known, but one thing is undeniable: if Mariah and Tupac had been free to love without fear, the entire landscape of music could have changed forever. Imagine a world where Mariah's angelic voice blended with Tupac's raw verses, not in secret but for the whole world to hear. Imagine albums that crossed genres, concerts that united fans who never thought they'd stand in the same crowd, and love that proved even the harshest divisions could be bridged. But instead, we're left with fragments, rumors, leaked whispers, and an unfinished story that still sparks debate to this day. And now, the question is for you. What do you believe? Was this a secret romance buried by the industry, or just a fantasy that fans built into legend? Do you think Mariah and Tupac's love could have survived the storm, or was it always destined to end in heartbreak? Let us know in the comments. We want to hear your theories, your feelings, your take on the what-if love story of Mariah and Tupac. Don't forget to like this video if you were hooked by the drama, subscribe for more explosive stories that dive deep into the untold truths of the music world, and hit that bell so you never miss the next chapter of the biggest scandals in entertainment. Your voice matters here, so join the conversation and keep the legend alive.